Hello. Um, yeah, so thank you to everybody that posted some comments on my first video that I posted, I think yesterday or the day before, um, about how the Mandela effect has struck Europe and Denmark is connected to Germany now, which I'm still having a lot of issues with that, still getting used to it. It's just such a big deal to me because I grew up right by there, and it just blows my mind, especially that my whole family is in on it. They all knew about this always. Really grasping that I guess we're different people now, right? They're not the same family anymore that I used to have. I mean, physically they are the same, but their memories are different from mine. So yeah, I probably will be struggling with that for a while. I don't know, it was fine with like Mandela effects that didn't really affect my personal life and my family's life. But with this one it does, and it's just a whole nother level. And somebody commented that the wife was 2 inches shorter all of a sudden. That must have been really interesting to deal with as well. Wow. Anyways, yes, so I thought about what I want to do with this channel and if I should post things or not. And someone else mentioned Elizabeth April, I think is her channel. So I started digging into that. I watched a bunch of her videos, and I realized that there's other people out there who experience things, not just the Mandela effect, but like I have had other experiences with like deceased people and stuff. And I don't know anyone else personally in my life that has, besides seeing a ghost. They have seen ghosts and weird things that happen, but they just haven't had any deceased person talk to them, or they don't experience Mandela effects. So it feels really lonely, if you have nobody like that in your life that you can connect with. And so I was thinking about it, and maybe I can use this form of like talking about all the experiences that I had. And yeah, maybe there's some other people out there who agree with that or had the same experiences, and can identify with that as well and not feel so lonely too. Yeah, it sucks. Like, I already have only a few friends because I feel like I'm very picky because I am like this, and I feel like I can't tell them anyways that I'm this way, and they're not gonna accept it, or they think I'm gonna be crazy, which is gonna be people commenting here that I'm just crazy, which is fine. But yeah, it's just good to know that there's other people out there like this, and now, or at least I hope. But from what I've seen when I've been researching these type of topics, I know there's other people out there. Of course, there's mediums and all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, one of the videos that Elizabeth had posted, she was talking about DMT. And I have never done any drugs other than smoke pot twice, I think, or 3 times. 2 or 3 times. And I had a really bad experience. So it was laced with something or whatever. And actually, Elizabeth mentioned that too in one of the experiences, that everything was in 2D, and I saw everything in 2D. So one day I want to actually talk about that whole topic, that whole experience, because I'm wondering why I saw it in 2D. Is this actually a 2D world, and then our soul or the third dimension makes it then, I mean, of course 2D is just 2D, but that we see it for whatever reason. So yeah, I want to maybe dive into that at some point, just talk about this. But yeah, that's not what I wanted to bring up. So today, what I wanted to talk about today is two things. Is like Elizabeth mentioned also that the people that have been doing DMT had seen like all these shapes, geographic shapes, geometric shapes everywhere. I think like all around them, and I had that too, but I didn't do any drugs. It's just I lived in an apartment which had like a small power plant, electric power plant near it. And it was also a huge street, and every so often there was like these huge pillars of electric power line, right? And then my bedroom had the meters, the electrical meter. I think they were counting, but I think there's also something in them. I even heard like a rumor, I don't know if it's actually true, but there's like some kind of radioactivity in it or something, I don't know. Anyway, so I had like 15 or something of those like on that wall in my bedroom on the outside, right, where they would count the electricity people were using in that apartment complex. So for some reason, I believe that's the reason why I had weird experiences in that apartment. And one of them was like what I call the fabric of the universe, that I saw a couple of times, actually many times. So what I just call it the fabric of the universe because it was everywhere. So what happened is like I was trying to sleep and I had like a crack open in my bedroom door, so like some light from the hallway would come in. And when I was about to kind of like doze off, but I wasn't sleeping yet, I was just kind of like really sleepy, dozing off, and I opened my eyes, I would see like the fabric of the universe, and it was like all geometric shapes, but it was like always the same shape repeated. So it could have been like I think it was kind of like, yeah, I think it was 3D. I can't really remember exactly if it had like a dimensional thing to it or not. It definitely was everywhere, all around. It filled up the room. But yeah, it was geometric shapes. Let's say it were triangles, and it was a triangle, always the same one too, but connected to itself and all around everywhere. And it had like this milky look to it. Was like see-through, and you could touch through it too, like yeah. And then but the shape was always different. Every time I saw it, it was a different shape. And then another night it was the shape of spider webs, but again the same shape repeated everywhere, all the way around. And I was like, holy cow, what is that? And so what I believe is what happened in that apartment is because of the power lines there, and the power plant, that small power plant, plus those meters maybe that I had on that wall, that somehow it did something to the energy and the vibrations and stuff that caused for me to see things that you usually don't see, you know. And maybe people see when they take DMT or ayahuasca and stuff. So on top of that, the other things that happened while I was there was I wasn't talking to dead people were talking to me. So for one, my best friend killed himself in 96 when he was 15. And at that time, it was about 18 years later or something when I lived there. And he came to me as a visitation in my dream. And I think that was the first ghost experience that I had in that apartment. And he started talking to me. I'm German, so he started talking to me in German. And he just said, oh my God, finally I found you. I've been looking for you everywhere. And I moved a lot, like even this is my second time living in America, so I moved overseas and everything. So I guess spirits could have trouble keeping up with you if you move a lot, not sure. So he had trouble finding me, he said. And then all of a sudden he spoke in English and said, the next big thing is about to happen. And I wanted to go hug him, but then I woke up. But what was also very interesting about that, and maybe some people have more experience with it. I only had that visitation one single time in my life. What I thought was super interesting was that he was like standing in front of me, kind of farther away though, but I could see him clearly, and I could see his face perfectly. Like, it looked exactly like I remembered it from back in the day. And even though it's been so long, I saw him perfectly. But what was crazy is the room was black, or the space, let's call it space, right? It wasn't a room, it was space. It was totally black and empty. There was nothing, just him standing there. And I could see him, even though there was no light. It was total darkness, total blackness, no light coming from anywhere, but I could see him. And Elizabeth in her videos kept saying we're beings of light, right? And I really believe that too. And I'm guessing that's why I could see him, right? Even though it's not like light illuminated from him or something. It's not like that. Not like when you turn on a lamp or something. It was just, I could just see him. Very strange. That was a really weird experience. But I was so happy because after 18 years or something, I saw him for the first time again. And oh my God, it just felt so great. It was so good. And then 2 other times that people talked to me was one time when I still lived in an apartment. What happened was my friend's kind of her mom, she called her like her second mom, had passed away. And she wasn't able to go to a funeral because of financial reasons and stuff. She would have had to buy an airplane ticket and fly there and stuff, and couldn't make it, right? So she felt super upset about it and was worried that her family would all like shun her and like be upset that she didn't go. And so she just like had like a breakdown after we hung out. And she started sitting on the floor just crying all of a sudden, and like was so upset. And then out of nowhere, like lightning hit me. I all of a sudden had like this message in my head. And you know how we think and we talk, our thoughts are like in order, right? You think you're one word after another in a way, and then you speak it that way too. But that's not how the message was in my head. It was like this, and then the complete sentence was in my head within 1 millisecond. And I knew it was that deceased woman that she was upset about. And the message was, it said, or she said, everything is okay, I'm right here. And it was the strangest thing. So once that message was in my head, I also like had to touch myself the whole time, like my hands and my body, and like I had to kind of wiggle around. I cannot explain. It was like very, very strange. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? I cannot tell her. Like, she's gonna think I'm crazy, right? Like, I even thought myself that I'm crazy. Like, this can't be that this happened. But I knew it was, I knew what it was. You just know in that moment. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I was really scared to tell her, but it was like she was still there too. Like, she pushed me, like she kept urging me. It's not like I heard a voice. It's not like I saw anything. It just kept like, I had like, do it basically, right? So I was like, fuck, okay, I have to do this. So I told her, and she just like took the message that I gave her, but we didn't talk about it or anything. And like, I feared that it would break our friendship, right? It did. Like, we're still friends on Facebook and stuff, and here and there communicate. We saw each other one more time years later too, but that's it. And yeah, that was weird. So that's why also, like, I feel like I don't really have any friends, because you can't tell people stuff like that, like, it's just, they don't believe you and think you're crazy. So unfortunately, yeah. And then I also thought that maybe I was just crazy. It was just, it only happened that one time, plus the visitation. And then I moved out of that apartment into a house, and in that house, I did have, in the beginning, just one time though, that same thing where I kind of fell asleep or about to sleep, opened my eyes and I saw the fabric of the universe. But that was only one single time. It was the last time I had it too since then. I haven't had it since then. And then I had another spirit talk to me, but that was also the last time. It hasn't happened again. And I think it was also in the beginning after I moved into that house. And I feel maybe somehow that whatever happened in that apartment, the way the energy was over there, somehow I kind of like maybe my body was like still in tune with it, or somehow I brought it into the new house. But then over time it disappeared. So in that instance, what happened, kind of the same thing. My friend was just going through a lot of stuff. She had cancer twice and was recovering and getting healthier from her second chemo and stuff. So was still physically kind of like exhausted and everything, right? Her body. So she was recovering, but then she had lots of other drama, work, boyfriend things. And so she was very, very upset and had kind of like an emotional breakdown. And just, we sat together. She just talked from her soul, right? Just like let it all out and cried and was just so upset. Well, her mom had passed away many years ago due to cancer as well. And she had shown me a picture once. I only seen one photo of her mom. And as she was sitting there crying like that, all of a sudden I see that photo in her head, right? I see her face and I was like, I think your mom is here. So she knew about this experience that I had. Like I did tell her. And she was still my friend. So I figured I could talk to her about it, right? So I did tell her in the moment as it was happening, I said, I see your mom's picture. And then I saw like a house and a table with a setup and things like that. And everything that I would see, I told her. And she's like, yeah, that's my house. That's the table. Like, that's where I grew up. And then all of a sudden, it was gone. Like, I didn't feel it anymore. I didn't see nothing. There were no more images coming in. And I just told her, yeah, I think she's gone. She left. I don't feel it anymore. And I did the same thing again. I had to touch myself, and like this strange feeling came over me, and I'm getting goosebumps every time I talk about it. And then she told me, she said that my whole body turned red, like I flushed totally red during that time. And I was like, what? So I was super shocked because in my head, I was still scared or thinking that I'm just crazy. I'm just imagining these things. And it was in a way good to hear that there was also like something physical happened that somebody else witnessed that maybe I am not crazy. Maybe this is actually happening, right? Like I am able to talk to dead people, I guess, deceased people. So yeah, so then of course I researched all of this kind of stuff and mediums and things like that. But oftentimes the people that I found online didn't really have the experiences the way I did. So kind of sucks, kind of like want to learn a little bit more about it. At first, like all those years, I was too scared. Like I kind of closed myself off against all this. Didn't really know how to handle it, especially because there's nobody else I can talk to about this stuff. But I'm very curious, and I would kind of like to actually do it like in an on-purpose setting where I sit with somebody and try to channel, you know, like some loved one or something that they lost. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I took a few days off to kind of like settle in this new experience with the whole Denmark being connected to Germany. And like I said, this one was a huge shock to me. there were some comments about, yeah, this is just how it is now. You're just gonna have to get used to it, and it's true. And I'm trying to. I will, of course, eventually. I mean, get used to all the other Mandela effects happening. But again, this one is just a little harder since I now know my family has totally different life experiences in ways than I do, and that's also a thing that I've been wondering if they have different memories now. Are they different people? Do they have different souls? Like, did we merge timelines, or did we jump into another timeline? And why do I experience these things and they don't? Like, why do I remember? Is it that when timelines merge, only some souls jump in? I don't know. I need to make a whole topic about that because I have some theories what it maybe could be or how it could maybe function. But I think in general, overall, the most sense it makes to me is this is a computer program. And that's why you find residue, right? Anytime you try to save over something, it takes time to be saved over, right? So it does it step by step. It's not like instantaneous, everything is saved over. So that kind of makes sense to me. It does make sense to me that for years there's residue left over because you would think eventually you'd get up to it. But maybe the system isn't perfect enough for it to save everything. I don't know. Overwrite everything. Either way, so I think that kind of makes the most sense. And then for some reason, people like that are very spiritual, indigo, whatever you want to call it, they're the ones that realize that it's happening, the changes. That's kind of what makes more sense to me than the timeline merging, because then I wonder how the soul functions. I know quantum entanglement, so the quantum entanglement, I can get that there's infinite universes and our soul is at the same time in all of these infinite universes connected to them. Totally get that. But then how do I remember different timelines, right? And then all the other souls don't. Wouldn't we have all the same capabilities? Wouldn't we function the same way? Wouldn't we all remember it? Oh, so many questions. I just want some answers to them. Still didn't accept me into the Mandela Effect Facebook group, unfortunately. I guess they won't. But somebody mentioned a Reddit, so I joined that, and there's some good stuff on there. So I need to actually take some time and read through all of the things that I wanted. So yeah, I'll end this as another long one. Again, like I said, I'll probably just use this kind of like as my outlet to talk about all of my experiences, because I feel like I experienced some weird things. I even had like out-of-body experience, and again, all without drugs. And I never really talked to anyone about this because, again, lots of people will see this and say I'm crazy. So, and that's why I don't talk to the people that are in my life that I meet about this stuff, really. Actually, even ask on Facebook if there are any other people experiencing Mandela effects. And I keep my circle really, really small. So I only have like 227 friends or something. Zero. Nobody responded. Of course, not everybody, the way Facebook functions really sees what you're posting. But yeah, nobody responded. So I literally am, from all the people that I've known so far, besides my daughter, the only one who experiences Mandela effects. So it's very frustrating and lonely. So hopefully, plus COVID, oh God, COVID, yeah. We are still on lockdown basically for the most part. So another reason it's a good time to kind of do something like this and maybe get to connect with some people, and yeah, realize we're all kind of like in the same boat. Okay, that's it for right now. I'm off for a few days, so I'll probably make a couple more about all the other experiences. I'll name the titles accordingly, so you can skip over stuff that's not interesting and things like that to you. But yeah, okay, bye.